There's a well-known stat in crypto that 95% of people do end up making money in cryptocurrency, but it's only the 5% that walk away with that profit. See, it's all unrealized. It's all unrealized profit until you click the sell button. And only 5% have the knowledge, the strategy, and the balls to be able to sell. Because greed starts to take over in the market. And when that sentiment is too high and people are calling for a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 Bitcoin, people that got in late will believe it. And they'll keep holding, holding, holding. Bitcoin will drop from wherever it peaks at back down to 50, 60,000. And they're going to be holding thinking this is a dip. This is a dip. I'm going to keep buying. And then we keep going lower. And they ride their portfolios all the way back down to zero, especially if you're in altcoins. You're riding that stuff all the way back down to zero. See, the hardest thing in a bull market is knowing when to sell. It's the psychology. It's the emotion of greed flowing into the market. People believe this can never go back down. We've seen it for the last 10 to 12 years in crypto. People believe it can never drop back down. But it always does. What are some indicators I'm looking at to be able to help me sell in this up and coming bull run, take my profits and actually convert unrealized profit into realized profit? We're going to go into some data, some charts, and some ground rules that I've written for myself to make sure I come out of this market in profit. First, to be able to sell, we're going to know when is the peak in this market. See, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't tell when that peak is upon us. But we can look at history because it doesn't always repeat, but it does rhyme. So we can look at statistics from history to kind of gauge where that market top will be. So when could Bitcoin peak in this bull market? See, historically, Bitcoin has always peaked 518 to 546 days after the halving. However, and we've seen this with a new all-time high before the halving, Bitcoin is showing clear signs of acceleration in its current cycle by approximately 260 days. This, therefore, may cut the typical cycle length in half. I don't think half, but I definitely believe we are at an accelerated pace. So if we measure bull market peaks from the moment an old all-time high is breached, then this perspective suggests Bitcoin will perform a bull market top 266 to 315 days later from the moment it breaks its old all-time high. So Bitcoin broke the new all-time high in this cycle last week. I wrote this a couple of weeks ago, so think of that a month and a half ago. If the accelerated perspective turns out to be true, then the next bull market peak may thus occur in 266 to 315 days from roughly about a month ago. That puts us to December 2024, February 2025. So quarter 4, 2024, quarter 1, 2025. That is a range or a time frame that we should be looking to scale out. Next, altcoins. That's what I'm heavily invested in. I don't hold any Bitcoin, Ethereum, if you still consider Ethereum an altcoin. I don't hold these larger cap plays. I believe it's lower down the market cap where the true money is made. So when this alt season really starts to kick off, well, alt season really starts to kick off once retail dives headfirst into the market. A lot of people are saying we've just broken all-time highs and crypto still feels like a ghost town, which is true. We peaked at 74,000, now we're back down to 60. We're ranging between, I reckon we're going to range between 58,000 to 74,000. But there's no interest in crypto. You don't hear people talking about it. Yes, your fanatics like me and you are talking about it, but no one's really interested in cryptocurrency. And this is true. We saw this happen last cycle as well. Retail didn't really flood into the market until BTC broke 18,000, which was its previous all-time high. Yes, a little bit of retail came in once we broke 69,000, but the big retail comes in once we hit those big psychological numbers. And those psychological numbers in the last cycle were around 30,000, 50,000. They were thinking, wow, we would have never guessed this. And in this cycle, I predict retail will really start to flood in once we get through that 90,000 range. I think maybe 85,000 as well. People will be like, shit, 85,000, 90,000, we're going to 100,000. We need to flood into this market. And that's when the greed kicks in and people keep buying tops and tops and tops. This is what drives the price up. And our altcoins love it. So much liquidity is flowing into them, they don't know how to stop. That's a little prediction when I believe alt will really start to kick off in this market. Now, one of my favorite YouTubers, brothers actually, that I follow, that have been helping me this whole bull market cycle is Jason and Michael Pizzino. I can't stress these guys enough how important their videos are. It's criminal that they don't charge money for their videos. The amount of alpha and data they give for free is unbelievable. Truly unselfish to be able to get this data for free. It's accelerated my investing like no tomorrow. One thing Michael Pizzino that I've been tracking with him this whole cycle is this Elliott wave cycle. Now, he's predicted this personally. From the bottom of the cycle, late 2022, into everything, into November, October lows, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, which we can see here, follow my cursor, this big extension. Now we're into this wave 4, which is forming a higher low before the big blow off top. Now, look at this perfectly. It's crazy how he gets it. Wave 3, we saw that peak happen right next to it. Now we're dipping slowly. Now, like he said in his newest video, we're looking for that macro intermediate bottom until we push off to that blow off top. And when that blow off top really starts to hit, like I said before, that's when our altcoins really start to hit. And that's when they run 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x. Depends if you're in the strong altcoins or not. But we are forming that base. If that's today, tomorrow, the next week or month, we are forming the base for the wave 4 of the cycle before we hit that wave 5 extension, which is that massive blow off top. Now, what are my signals to start scaling out? I'll share them with you. When any of my price targets, I've got a big whiteboard in my room. When any of my price targets are hit, I will sell. No matter what the sentiment in the market is, how everyone's emotions are high and people are calling for $300,000, $400,000 Bitcoin. Once my price targets are hit, I will sell. When BTC breaks above 120,000 USD, I'll start aggressively scaling out because I'll believe then that altcoins are really ripping and I can't get greedy. I have to take my profits and move on. Now, when one of my projects have 8x from entry, I'll look to start to scale out. This does depend though for how good my entry was. For something, I'll give you an example. For Fetch AI, my entry was around 50 cents USD. And 8x will be about $4.60 USD. And I think that might be a bit low to sell, a bit early to sell, $4.60 at Fetch. So something like that, I'll start to scale at a 10x at about $5 or $5.50. So it all depends about your entry points. If you're buying Solana now, say you bought it at $200 when it broached $200, I'm not suggesting you sell at an 8x. Because do I believe Solana is going to get over 1,500? I don't think so. It very well could, but do you want to be in the market that long to find out? That's the risk you're playing. Now, when my portfolio starts to break a certain number, I'll start to scale out. I'm not going to share the number on the channel, but I have a figure in mind that once we start to breach that figure, I'll start to scale out as I'll be happy with the profits I've made. And one that's very well known in the community, if Coinbase breaks into the top 3 most downloaded apps, we'll start to look to scale out because that shows full-time retail has flooded into the market. Now, I wrote this little list in a video I posted about 2 months ago on what I thought would see. I think Bitcoin, that's when Bitcoin just broke new all-time highs at about 71, 72,000. And we're starting to see that play out very well. First, we see Bitcoin starts ranging, which we're seeing now with this new halving dip. And I've got a video coming out on the halving and how important the halving is for the cycle. Then I believe, and I'm going to repeat this because this is my little prediction on what I think is going to happen. Bitcoin starts to range, which we're already starting to see. Then Bitcoin dominance will start to drop after the halving when all the liquidity gets flown into Bitcoin. Then alts will lag for a little bit, but then when alts run, they will run hard, dropping the BTC dominance. Like I says here, money move into ETH and your big, strong altcoins. More majority altcoins in the top 10, top 15. ETH will break a new all-time high. Then money really starts to flow into our altcoins, our degenerate, lower market cap altcoins. Then alt starts sending hard. Then we see epic alt season that we've been waiting for God knows how long now. We take our profits, thank the Lord Jesus, and retire our family. God's plan. I wrote this a couple months ago. Let's see how it plays out. There's a lot of indicators, directions looking at one point. They're all pointing to one spot. And in my eyes, that's we go higher. Not financial advice, but we've seen this play out many, many times before. The war in Iran, Israel, Palestine, it's all part of that wall of worry. Do you really think the Biden administration is going to allow the markets to crumble in such a crucial year, an election year, when they're struggling as it is to get votes? That's the one lifeline America has. The S&P 500's going up. Our markets are strong. People are making money through our markets. We've seen it, as I expressed in my last video, which I believe is the most important video you'll watch in this channel. What happens in election years? We're in that cool-off period. Quarter one's always big. Quarter two, quarter three is always a bit slow. But once we hit that quarter four, things start to pick up drastically. That's when the exponential growth really starts to kick in for the stock market and cryptocurrency. Well, glory to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one.